Hey everybody, this new moon in Virgo is going to be a very significant experience for us because it is going to basically be a cosmic reset button that marks new beginnings, that also demands that we make bold decisions and let go of ego-based attachments. Why is that? Well, we have two eclipses following this new moon in Virgo. One of them is a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo at the end of September, on the 21st of September, 29 degrees of Virgo. And then the other one is a full moon eclipse in the sign of Pisces on the 7th at 15 degrees of Pisces. So this new moon basically is happening right in front of these two eclipses and is totally connected to the fact that the South Node is in Virgo. Now, we've had the South Node in Virgo. Wherever the South Node is where we're releasing, where we're letting go of, and we're moving towards the opposite of that energy. And the opposite of that energy is Pisces, which is more about a spiritual dharma, spiritual breakthroughs, breaking through egos and stepping onto your true dharmic path. So this series of eclipses is aligning us with our dharmic purpose. And so we're letting go of Virgo, which is those perfectionistic that leads to procrastination or overthinking that is holding us back. Trying to be too detailed oriented and trying to focus on all the little things without seeing the bigger picture. And so now with the Pisces North Node, we're seeing a bigger picture and we're reaching for some bigger dream, destiny, project, our dharma, right? What we do desire. Now, this new moon in Virgo is the new beginnings that this South Node in Virgo, that where we're letting things go, now leaves a vacancy for new beginnings. So wherever the South Node passes through is where we plant new, where we have vacancies, basically. So this new moon in Virgo initiates new beginnings that will almost be difficult to differentiate from the set of eclipses that are following it. It's almost going to be hard to know what is this new moon and what is the eclipse. That's how significant this new moon will be. Now I'm going to share the chart because there's some very interesting things happening on this new moon, which make it very almost feeling like an eclipse in and of itself, even if it wasn't around the eclipses, because it's happening on, it depends on where you are again, on the west coast, it will be at, let's get to the exact hour. It will be on the 23rd. At what time? Let's get the time in. So it's going to be on the 23rd at 11:24 p.m. That's on the West Coast. So on the East Coast, it'll be in the 22nd. The whatever time that is on the East Coast, minus 3 hours. So um, now this new moon has this incredible angle to Uranus. Now Uranus is the energy of out of the blue, sudden surprises, shocks, um, and it's in the sign of Gemini. So when it's in the sign of Gemini, it's going to be information, communication, knowledge, ideas, revolutionary, because it's at 0 degrees. When anything is at 0 degrees, it's new, it's completely uncharted territory. So, and especially with Uranus, which is about the future, which is about uncharted territory, knowledge, technologies, information. So this new moon literally squares Uranus, which means it changes our destiny, it changes our technologies, it changes our minds, it changes our ideas, and puts us on a true dharmic path. Because that South Node being in Virgo, we're letting go of our old ways of seeing things. We're just letting go of that entire house in our chart. So that's keep giving us a big open mind with that North Node in Pisces, and we're not worried about the minutia, and we're focused more on this bigger picture with that Aries and the 0 degrees or 1 degrees. Oh, it's at 0 degrees on this new moon. These big new bold initiations where this new moon in Virgo is a huge part of, but because it's in the sign of Virgo and we are letting go of perfectionism and overthinking things and that lead to procrastination, this new moon in Virgo does say that we also now need to initiate new, detailed, precise planning, um, disciplined approach to this new project. So now we do need to go to the Virgo side. We're balancing back and forth on these eclipses. We're letting go of the Virgo mentality or the Virgo thoughts or the, when I say Virgo thoughts, the critical, perfectionistic mind busyness and life busyness that creates noise that divides us from our true calling and our spiritual purpose and our path. Now, you drop the balls in certain areas with the South Node Virgo. You forget about certain things. You don't want to deal with the detailed oriented things, but then we get these eclipses there and these new moons there. That both of the new moons are in Virgo, so we've got this fresh, raw, un sort of newly plowed land to plant in because we've pulled out all those other weeds that have been holding us back. So now we've got these new ideas, new beginnings, and a Virgo is going to be of high service. It is connected to Uranus, which is also making a sextile to Saturn, which is trining Pluto. So this is entirely connected to this new direction we're going in with that 0 degrees in Aries and Neptune. So this new moon is the new beginnings of either media projects, writing projects, futuristic technological ideas coming in that serve humanity. What else? Selling, health, Virgo, because it's ruled by Mercury. So anything mercurial, which is about, and then Uranus being in Gemini. So this is about advancing humanity. And also perhaps this new moon squaring Uranus completely ends old perceptions, completely kills an old way of seeing the world and things in our lives so that we can have this completely new open awareness about opening our minds. We really have to have open minds right now of where we can go and what we can do because where we've been is completely old hat. So we have to have this completely fresh new outlook in life. And with that fresh new outlook, we're going to plant these new seeds because with that Virgo South Node, we're letting go of all that rigid, critical, controlling ideas we've had that we think are root or have to be that way, or, you know. And so now we're opening our minds and we're focusing more on a bigger dharmic mission with we're releasing when you let go of all that sort of petty thinking, perfectionistic, mind racing energy, you're focusing on your dharma and your spiritual calling and your, what do they call it? Your reason for being here. There's another word for it I just heard that Steve Jobs talked about. Anyway, when you put all your apples in that cart, that Pisces is sort of a big liberation because you're liberating yourself from these mentality that's holding you back. And so then in that Pisces energies, you're liberating to hear and open your mind to a higher calling, a higher realm, higher ideas, which you then channel into these new beginnings in Virgo. So we have these new minds to plant fresh new ideas that are very much connected to the new era and the new future, or very futuristic, we could say, that are really going to carve out our new life and create this entirely new paradigm in our own lives and in the world. All right, so now I'm going to talk more about the eclipses as we go forward. But we are looking at the chain of events that will be hard to differentiate from the eclipses, basically. So I'm now going to go through all the 12 signs. All right. All right, for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, this new moon is going to be in your sixth house, which is new beginnings in health, routines, what you do on a day-to-day that determines your wealth and your health. So, with the South Node having traveling in your Virgo house now in the sixth house since January, you have been releasing addictions, habits, patterns in your lives. They're no longer helpful. And now with these new beginnings, these brand new, we've got two new moons coming here. We've got this one here at 0 degrees, and that is going to initiate a new beginning that is going to be connected to the eclipse that's happening at 29 degrees on September 21st. So these new beginnings are going to be about new day-to-day routines. Now, sometimes eclipses in your sixth house just literally changes your day-to-day routine. And because you have a new work, you have a new job or a new project going on, a media project or something, um, or the way that you're stepping forward to be of service in a volunteering capacity as well, potentially, you are changing your routine. Your day-to-day life completely changes. The way you live your life completely changes. When I had an eclipse in my sixth house, I was working mostly doing readings outside of my house. And then all of a sudden, an eclipse in my sixth house, and I had people coming to my house for readings. So you change and that changed my whole routine. But these new beginnings are also new beginnings in your health, new spiritual practices, new day-to-day routines that are good for you, that are helping you, that are nourishing, perhaps new diets, new way of eating, eating from a whole new perspective, eating from the perspective of improving your health. These new beginnings are going to involve a whole new perspective because it squares Uranus, where some sort of big mind change occurs. And it's in Uranus is in your third house, and it's in the sign of Gemini. So new information, new knowledge. Now, this could initiate something in your third house as well. It could initiate a media project, a writing project, a website that is connected to this. This is this new beginning, the two new beginnings that are happening in your Virgo house here on this new moon and then on the eclipse coming in September are going to be very much a part of your dharma and your purpose as well. So even if it is just to start a new spiritual practice, perhaps exercising in the morning, will then makes you more awake and alive and ready to initiate media projects or get online or start working better in your a new beginning, a new venture because you've got Aries in your first house. So somehow these two new moons in your sixth house activate new routines in your life that are connected to new projects, media projects, entrepreneurial ventures, a business. What else can third house be? Well, I did say a writing project, but social media, blogging, selling. Mercury is very much about commerce, advertising. Gosh, and it's at 0 degrees this new moon, and so is Uranus. So the 0 degree points are going to be literally new paths, uncharted territories, new, completely new ideas, things we have never thought of. Uranus 0 degrees in Gemini. So that is for Aries. All right. All right, Taurus, this new moon in Virgo, 0 degrees, is happening in your fifth house. Wow, what a great place to have this new moon. And there's going to be a series of eclipses. We're going to have two eclipses activating your 11th and 5th house axis because the North Node is in your 11th house and the South Node in Virgo is in your 5th house. So you are letting go of relationships and connections that cause stress or that cause noise in your life or projects that aren't the creative destiny that you really are lined up for or are being lined up for in these eclipses that are coming in. Now, so you're letting go of old, I would say, friendships and situations or relationships that put you in a controlling state because we're letting go of controlling our material realm. We're focusing more on our Dharma with that North Node in the 11th house. So you're really stretching out to go more into the community, more involved into some sort of humanitarian effort or just bold new dharmic, your destiny, your true dharmic calling. And that's in your 11th house. So you're going to be meeting a lot of new people with these eclipses there and connecting with new tribes and finding people that are really aligned with your dharmic, your soul purpose. So you're letting go of people that are not in alignment with your new path. And this new moon is a bold new wake up new moon with squaring Uranus. So we're having big new outlooks, big fresh new ideas, out of the box thinking, entrepreneurial ventures for you with the new moon in your fifth house, new creative projects, friends and collaborative ventures opening up for you. And again, it can come with challenges when you're releasing these eclipses in your fifth house, friendships or relationships falling away. But again, in the long run, it is better for you. And you're going to be stepping into more healthy, spiritually aligned, soulmate type connections. And that really do align with your new path, this big new chapter that everybody's beginning right now with Aries in Saturn in Aries, which is in your 12th house, which is really wrapping up an old cycle, an old karmic pattern for you, Taurus. Um, So that would be, so you're looking at planting new seeds, new creative projects, new friendships, new collaboratives. Um, what else? If you are in the age range of having children, you could be having a new child here with a new moon and the eclipse is in your fifth house. That will definitely be a potential for pregnancies and perhaps even delivery if we can have babies on eclipses. Then we have these two eclipses coming up, so the second eclipse it could indicate a pregnancy or birth as well in your fifth house. But it is the house of where there was nothing, there is now something. So we are beautiful new beginnings and creating brand new things because this is a 0 degree lunation squaring Uranus. So big new fresh ideas that really put you on a new creative path. I would consider this a creative frenzy time. As long as you can let go and not get bogged down in the drama of releasing relationships or drama that relationships are causing you. If you can stay focused on your dharma, stay focused on that north node and reach for that true inspired new destiny involving a new tribe. So try not to be attached to anything because it is the energy of letting go of ego attachments. All right, that's Taurus. Thanks. All right, Gemini, this new moon is in your fourth house, but it's making a square to Uranus, which is in your first house. And Uranus is going to be in your house, in your first house, for about eight years. So there is some sort of big shakeup in your perceptions, in your what you believe, what you think, things you want to learn about. Your whole life is going to, who you are at the end of this 8 years is going to be completely different. You're going to have much more revolutionary outlook in things because that Uranus in your first house causes a revolution in you. And then you're having this new moon squaring your first house, squaring Uranus in your first house, which means you're having a completely big mind opening awakening. And it has a connection to your family, some sort of critical or perfectionism that follows in some sort of lineage in your family that's stopping you from really pursuing some sort of new future. You're really breaking from some sort of paradigm that's held you back from some sort of critical perfectionism and some sort of control or some sort of control thinking because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So the Virgo, some sort of controlling of your family and what people think of your family or how your family thinks of you and being perfect and the north node is in your 10th house and so you're really sort of stripping you got the south node in your fourth house so you're stripping old ancestral wounding and criticism and perfectionism and self sort of picking at yourself like picking yourself apart or focusing on yourself and trying to be some sort of perfect person to be successful and so you're releasing that. You're having this whole new mind awakening. So you're deleting an old paradigm of thinking from your family, from your roots, and you're opening up your mind to a whole new perception and a whole new way of looking at things. And you're going against your family and your roots. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're battling them or having fights. You're just sort of accepting that you have to sort of walk a new path that's different from the heritage or your family belief. Perhaps they're religious and you're now looking at more philosophical approaches to living and you're really sort of turning your back on an old family spiritual belief and you're moving forward with a new outlook and a new sort of more aligned with the future, more futuristic mentality, or shall we say open-mindedness. And that really has a connection to that Saturn in your 11th house, which is new clients, new social networking platforms, new tribes, new like-minded people. You're associating with a new group of people that are more connected to sort of you're exploring some sort of higher philosophy, higher wisdom, and sort of walking a new path separate from your family. You're going to lead your family to a new paradigm, a new way of thinking. You're probably leading your family into the new earth, into opening and broadening the mind. So expect powerful changes in this new moon. You're planting new seeds in your home and living situation. Again, you are planting a new family, but you're having sort of a big awakening and a mind expansive idea of what your new family is because that South Node transiting your fourth house, you're probably letting go. Now, sometimes you're letting go of a family and your family, perhaps divorcing, separating, Jupiter is in your seventh, no, sorry, Jupiter is in your second house, which is giving you strong finances and income coming in a abundant way. And you're releasing the old paradigm that your family or some sort of old in the box thinking that your family that you come from in your family. And so you're opening up your mind, but also you're initiating a new family, perhaps ending a family, perhaps divorcing, also letting go of parenting your children. If you're a mother, you're letting go of a layer of mothering with your child. When I had the South Node in my fourth house, I let go of sort of helicoptering my children a little bit, and I sort of let them fly on their own more, as it were, or didn't have a choice. They told me to do that, so I released the birds from the nest, as it were. But the South Node eclipse hitting there at the end of the month on September 21. Again, brand new beginnings in home living situation, moving, new relationships that are in alignment with your new frame of mind, the new version of you that's being born in this Uranus in your first house. So, okay, that's great for Gemini. Have a wonderful day. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising. This new moon is going to be in your third house. So since January, when the South Node has been in your third house, you've been letting go of arguing with people or getting into verbal, trying to control situations through verbal or trying to, um, shall we say, uh, prove points or be right. Basically, you're letting go of this communication, thinking a lot, and focusing more on learning, focusing more on your North Node in your ninth house, which is more about what is the truth. And you're sort of letting go and allowing your family, because Cancers are very family centric people. And so you're sort of letting go of family members who don't agree instead of trying to communicate with them and get them on the same page as you. You're sort of just letting that all go, and you're really just allowing. That South Node Virgo is a very allowing energy. That North Node Pisces is surrendering. So you're sort of surrendering to what others believe, allowing it to happen and let it be. Let your family think differently, move forward, keep learning what you're here to learn with that North Node, stepping into your dharmic path. Most Cancers are very much into sort of spiritual occupations, and with that North Node up there, you're really putting most of your energy. That South Node Virgo is letting go of noise and putting yourself into a focus with that ninth house, focusing on your future, focusing on your, the centaur, that arrow, where you're headed, where you see yourself going. And with this new moon in your third house, so we're letting go of a lot of this energy that you're wasting in talking a lot or communicating or people around you, like talking to a lot of people in your close circles. And now, because you've created space in your life, you now have sort of this open garden space for planting these new Virgo beginnings in your Virgo house with these new moons in Virgo, sorry. Virgo new moon at the beginning here at 0 degrees, which is a completely new squaring Uranus. Uranus is in your 12th, completely changing the way you see things, belief, completely changing your outlook, liberating yourself forward in some sort of new vision, new ideas, new completely breaking through in your social media platform or your media platform or writing projects or new communication projects or blogs or um, you could say, did I say social media accounts? So you're using all that energy that you're letting go of with the South Node there into more productive mental projects that involve your mind. And so you're releasing the energy that you're wasting on your mind energy that you're wasting in talking or engaged in, they don't even have to be arguments, just debates and people around you about beliefs. And you're letting that go and just focusing more on understanding what it is and finding more spiritual beliefs and truths and using that time more to explore it rather than to bring people with you. So you're letting go and surrendering and focusing on your Dharma, which is what the North Node Pisces and South Node Virgo is all about. So we're going to have that other eclipse at the end of the month. It's like both the two moons flank the entire house of Virgo. The eclipse at September 21 is at 29 degrees, the end of the Virgo house, and the new moon this week on the 22nd is beginning. So you're launching with these eclipses. You could be letting go of your old Instagram or your old social media platforms and starting a new one, starting a new projects, media projects. Like I said, it often can be a relocation eclipse too, because you're changing your neighborhood and the people that are around you on a day-to-day are completely changing too. So there's other things going on. You've got Aries, the Saturn in your 10th house. So big new changes in your career are happening. And this new moon eclipse is going to be a big part of that. And the new moon that's hitting here in 0 degrees. So these new beginnings are very much connected because that square to Uranus makes a sextile to Saturn. So it's a chain of events that's unfolding here in your third house around media, communication, writing projects that link to your career and take you on your true new 29-year cycle path. In other words, this is some sort of detailed work and focus needed around let's put it this way, the details and the paperwork or the administrative or the organizations that are needed that are behind the new beginnings with the career, with the Aries there. So in other words, it's connected to that. These are new beginnings connected to that career, but it's the detailed writings or plannings or strategizing and the sort of the detailed parts of this new step, this big new project that's starting, with a big new career move that's happening for Cancers. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising, this new moon and the eclipse new moon that's coming up at the end of September on the 21st is happening in your second house. And we've had the South Node transiting your second house since January. So you have been letting go of making money and from a controlled, busy preoccupation with your finances, making sure your money's okay and making sure you have enough money to cover the bills. I know this sounds like everybody's life, but the South Node there in your second house, you're letting go of that. You're releasing that fear, and you're kind of becoming more spiritual about your finances because you have the North Node in Pisces in your 8th house. So you're flowing more and letting go of the stress around your finances or that controlling fear attachment to your finances. And you're sort of trusting more. And also the North Node, you're going to have an eclipse in Pisces there in September, which I'll talk about more in depth later. But basically what's happening is you're becoming more spiritual about money, but also more in alignment with your Dharma and your true calling. And it will involve the 8th house and with the 8th house, which is the unseen forces, the occult, spirituality, or finances. It can be investments, or raising finances. But with this Virgo South Node of your second house, what you are releasing and you're no longer wanting to, the universe is going to pull out of your life is the ways that you were making money that was basically survival and stress-based or stressful. So these new moons now, because you've created openings here in your second house by releasing these other ways of making money, or that reason for making the choices in the areas of how you make your money or the way you make your money. You're now sort of gaining clarity on new beginnings that are showing up now because you have a clean slate here in your second house, where you are beginning new projects that are high service, that are involving your talents, your gifts, and that does align with your North Node, which is your destiny to be on a soul venture destined path, or shall we say your soul's path, your soul song, living your soul's dream. So in other words, you're letting go of old ways of making money that were stressful, that were just so that you could feel in control and stable and about your finances. You're releasing that, letting go, and becoming more spiritual and more flow, which is having more faith and not being preoccupied by the finances, or penny pinchy, you could say. Letting go, surrendering, having faith, and following your path that you feel like your soul is calling you to follow. And now this, because you've let go of those other ways, you have vacancies there in your second house, which is now going to be filled by this new moon and the last new moon at the end of the month, or end of September at 29 degrees. So your Virgo house is being flanked by two new moons. So, and that's your income and how you feed yourself and your gifts and your talents. So you're basically generating an entirely new way of earning money that supports your flow. So we're flipping it because we're now flowing towards letting go. And so now that sort of these new beginnings are the true new beginnings, or the true ways of earning income that will help you flow in alignment with your destiny, your soul's purpose. So it does bring new beginnings in that second house, which is detailed planning, maybe starting a business, selling things, starting. It's all Mercury based things, Virgo. So you're having to organize, strategize, fill out paperwork, get busy about something, do the fine work, do the fine tuning work, the discipline tasks involved in these new beginnings. All right, Leo, have a wonderful, wonderful new moon. Namaste. Okay, Virgo, this new moon is happening in your first house. And then, of course, we've got that new moon solar eclipse happening in September 21st at 29 degrees, which is flanking your first house. So this new moon is at 0 degrees, and the eclipse coming up in Virgo is at 29 degrees. So these are big. This is going to be big for you. You're really, since the South Node has been in your first house, you're really letting go into aspects of yourself that don't serve you, that you do on a repeat basis. You're letting go of habits, old unhealthy habits, or shall we say routines that aren't good for your health. You're changing your life as the South Node transits your first house. An old identity, though, the whole old version of yourself is dying here since January, and also a tendency towards to, being over busy and being preoccupied with petty things or things that don't matter, and racing mind. And I'm going to do another post about the South Node in Virgo here soon, but these new moons, now you've been letting a lot go. So this new moon brings in now you've got kind of like a clean slate here, where you have room for new growth and new plants, and you're planting a new version of yourself in this new moon and in the eclipse coming up. And this new version of yourself is sort of a more streamlined version of yourself, where you aren't thrown off your center or thrown off your focus because of that North Node being in Pisces. You're going bigger with your life. You want to grow past certain things that are holding you back, that are, shall we say, preoccupied you, that were just noise. And so you're really seeing a more spiritual path, or looking for something more meaningful in your life than your everyday busy way that you live your life. You're filling up your cup with something here in the North Node in Pisces that's filling up your soul. So these eclipses are the new beginnings that are going to start happening in your life as a result of having let go of some old versions of yourself. So these new versions of yourself are being born that are more in alignment with, also, not to mention, a relationship, because there's going to be an eclipse there on the 7th of September in your Pisces house at 15 degrees, which is your relationship house. So there is a bunch of shifting going on between you and versus your relationships. And as you step more into your authentic version of yourself with this new moon, where you're beginning boldly stepping into these, and it does square Uranus. So these are new ideas, new beginnings, new that link up to your calling, and most likely your joint soul contract with your divine partner or a partnership. But these are liberating new beginnings that liberate you from an old way of working that was burdening you and stressing you out. So these are new beginnings that are very much related to the new 30-year cycle that we're seeing with Saturn in Aries at 0 or 1 degrees. So, Virgo, this is the launching of a whole new version of yourself. This is whenever there's a Virgo new moon, you're buckling down and focusing on some sort of daily routine or new habit, new new patterns, new ideas, new ways of living, new jobs, new initiating new projects. They can be, this is mercurial, so it could be media, selling, or it could be involving health. Virgo's often around health, but your life completely changes because of that. Uranus making a square here, and you become a completely new version of yourself that you didn't even imagine. And most likely, this involves it depends if your career age or not, but it will involve your dharma, and it can involve your divine partnerships. And with that Uranus in your 10th house, your career does go through some sort of radical, and your public reputation goes through big radical changes. All right. Have a wonderful new moon, Virgo. Okay, namaste. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This new moon is hitting your 12th house. And we've had the South Node in your 12th house. It was previously in your first house up until January. So you've really let go of an old version of yourself. There's a rebirth happening for you now with this next eclipse that's coming up on the 21st at 29 degrees in your 12th house. And with this new moon squaring Uranus in your ninth, you're having major spiritual awakenings, major releasing of old paradigm, stressful, fear-based, karmic, I would say ancestral lineage type programming that you're really releasing, and that you had some sort of, I would say, some deep, you could almost call it with the South Node in your 12th house, sort of coming home to Jesus in a way, like coming to your soul and shaking off the barnacles that were just attached to you that are not really a part of this new life. And with the squaring to Uranus, you're having major new awakenings, spiritual awakenings. It's like your mind is just having all these sparks going off in it because you have Uranus there in the ninth house transiting there for eight years, where you're going to have mega, mega, mega new beliefs and new transformative knowledge or information coming into you. And you're most likely, if you have planets there in the ninth house, you are part of the new, many Libras are writers, so they're going to be a part of the new media, very much so. So this new belief or this new sort of breakthrough is going to enable you for some sort of media project because your mind is just rapidly opening up. And so you want to be of high service, and this is going to be in a way that has spiritually liberated you. And so then you're going to try to help others to spiritually liberate other people. So this new moon, so you've released old beliefs, and now this new moon is sort of the launching of media projects or detailed oriented, shall we say, discipline projects or day-to-day routines. This could also be new spiritual routines, new spiritual practices because of this new awakening or new knowledge. You suddenly have this realization that you really do need to meditate, or you really need to take a spiritual path more and have more spiritual routines on a day-to-day basis and de-stress yourself and take yourself more out of the chaos and noise of society in that 12th house, and let go and surrender more with that north node in your sixth, because you're really learning to be more flow and less stressed and less trying to push things to make things happen with that north node. And you're definitely seeking your dharmic path, something that feels more comfortable in your life, that's easy, that's flow, that's not a struggle. You're letting go of the struggle really with that. And so with this new moon now in that house of the Virgo, that 12th house, these are brand new beginnings from a very fresh version of you where you've really released all these past life, shall we say, karmic knotted beliefs that have really sort of kept you from having an open mind, which has stopped you from being able to walk your path. Because these new beginnings with Uranus at 0 degrees, this new moon is at 0 degrees. These are uncharted paths. We are initiating whole new paradigms, new ways of living, new ways of doing things completely in this new moon, Virgo. You're going to step into completely new routines and new ways of doing things that are going to be more beneficial, more practical, and more helpful and useful and of service to other people. So this new moon is a really all around new beginning. Again, you're going to have that new eclipse. You're going to have that eclipse in the end of the September at 21 on the 21st, where you really are going to have another, you could say, a big spiritual awakening and transformative experience and some new beginnings as a result of those transformative mental awakenings. All right, I hope that's clear and have a wonderful new moon. Namaste. Hey, Scorpio rising. This new moon is going to be in your 11th house. So you've had the South Node there for a since January, where you've been letting go of tribes or friends groups or social media network platforms. If you have been on one and that you let go of, and you, let's see, letting go of trying to control who your friends are, letting go of arguing, perhaps, because it's a Mercury ruled South Node. So basically, you've been releasing stress related connections and tribal situations or tribal situations, situations with groups and clients that are really causing noise in your life, that aren't really a part of your new destiny, because with the North Node there in your fifth house, you're meeting new friends, you're meeting more soul aligned connections, perhaps pregnancies, marriage, relationships, but also dharmic creative projects that are really your purpose, that fulfill your soul's yearning. Now we're going to have an eclipse in this house as well on September 21st there at 29 degrees. So you have, and that's a new moon solar eclipse. So you've got these two big new beginnings happening in your Virgo houses. And that would most likely show up in the form of new connections, new fated meetings of people that are your new like-minded types of friends and connections that bring you austerity, auspiciousness. Let's use that word. Um, and that bring you good connections. Now, this can also be the house of clients. It's also the humanitarian volunteer. You could start volunteering or some sort of humanitarian effort and become a part of a group cause. You could lead and launch a new platform, social media platform, with a humanitarian service-oriented goal. And the South Node being there left a lot of space for meeting new like-minded tribes, new like-minded groups of friends. And I hope I'm not repeating myself, but ultimately, this is very positive. Two eclipses or two new moons there. This first new moon is going to square Uranus, so you might find out some information that really shocks you, or hidden secrets, or news or information about people you know or friends that you know that you don't that sort of terminate these connections. You could go through a challenging time because that eighth house Uranus, there might be some sort of radical shakeup around your finances too that could be somewhat scary, but don't worry, you will find stability. Uranus will bring you stability there. But these new beginnings, perhaps really change your direction in life because of a financial challenge that's happening. And it forces you to make join some sort of group or online job, or humanitarian effort, volunteering, but you make some income. And these are new beginnings that do put you in alignment with your Dharma and do bring you to introductions to people that are really in your Dharmic path that involve your creative projects, because the North Node in your fifth house, it can be children or creative entrepreneurial ventures that you're now meeting people or a mate to start that path for yourself, that fated destiny that is waiting to unfold in your life. All right, Scorpio, I hope you have a wonderful new moon. Namaste. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising. This new moon is happening in your 10th house. So that's pretty exciting because that means you have an eclipse in your 10th house on the 21st of September at 29 degrees Virgo. So you have a new moon at 0 degrees, and then the eclipse at 29 degrees. So your Virgo house, your career house, is going to have, you're really releasing an old version of your career, an old version of yourself, or some sort of hardworking, disciplined, jobby job type career that isn't really fulfilling your spiritual dharmic path. You're releasing a career And letting go, since the South Node has been in your 10th house since January, you've been letting something go about your career or some form of your career or your work or your or trying to control a sort of public reputation so that you can get ahead. Or there's a lot of ways South Node Virgo in your 10th house can play out. But these new beginnings, these two new moons that are happening in your 10th house, one being an eclipse, really shifts your work in a big way and sets you, and also because the North Node is going to be in your fourth house, could involve some big relocations and shift in your family situation. But this new moon in your 10th house is a big surprising shock situation, and perhaps a client, because Uranus is in your seventh house, some sort of client connection or relationship connection throws you onto this new beginning with that Uranus square that almost feels like an eclipse, and that these new beginnings are just sort of out of the blue and involve connections and partnerships and perhaps your divine soul contracted what do you call it, soul destiny. Why am I blanking on this word? I have Neptune squaring my ascendant. Your joint contract, your soul contract that you have planned or that you were here to do with another person. Your life is radically changing through relationships and connections and agreement, partnerships in the next 8 years. But this new opportunity that comes in for your career or these new beginnings, you may initiate. A relationship can come in and initiate help you initiate these new beginnings, but also you could find out some very surprising information and knowledge. This relationship, you could meet somebody online. It could be love at first sight type of a connection here with Uranus there, where you suddenly meet somebody and you come into joint soul contract together. Like, for instance, you could be a musician and you suddenly meet your perfect bandmate, and now you start this new band together, and this is your career. So you start taking it around. And this is, again, a service-oriented project where you are able to really serve humanity in a way. And then, and because it's a new moon in Virgo, we're looking at signing contracts, we're looking at paperwork, we're looking at organizing the plans, the strategy. It's all about the practical application of this new project, getting down to the nitty-gritty. Um, like, let's say you get a new job in a new office, you're moving into the new office, you're organizing all your paperwork, your files, your cabinets. So it's a busy new moon, and it's going to be a busy period for Sagittarians in their career for this period. And it's going to be very auspicious, and you are going to be tilted to most likely a very creative entrepreneurial venture because of that Saturn in your fifth. So this is going to be connected. All of this new moon has a square to Uranus and then connects to Saturn. So all of this is connecting to our new 29-year cycle. All right. I hope you have a wonderful new moon, Virgo. Namaste. Hey, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising. This new moon is happening in your ninth house. And so, what that also means is that you've had the South Node there for the last, well, since January. And then you're going to have this new moon, a second new moon, but it's going to be a solar eclipse on September 21st at 29 degrees of Virgo. So, your Virgo house is your ninth house, and that is going through quite a big shakeup because Uranus is also squaring this new moon, which means you're going to have some sort of radical new shift in beliefs. You're going to have a completely mind awakening, opening up. Either you discover that you are blocking your manifestation by negative self-critical thinking, and that all you had to do was shift your thinking and your beliefs about yourself and about being so hard on yourself or expecting some sort of perfectionistic standard that you just can't reach. Capricorns are like that. And so you really let that go, and you really are searching for higher meanings, more soulful, fulfilling, purposeful ventures, media projects, and things like that with your North Node in the third. So you're really trying to align with your work, with your true Dharma, your true soul fulfilling path. And it is creative. Usually Capricorns do well by seeking a creative path. It really adds. They're very well structured people, so they can afford to take some sort of creative risks. Now with that Mercury or that Virgo South Node up there in your ninth house for the whole year. You've been letting go of old beliefs, completely letting go of old perceptions as well. And so now with a square to Uranus in your sixth, I would say you change your life in a radical way on this new moon, and your day-to-day routines change, and you find some sort of spiritual new practice, practical way of applying spiritual knowledge that can help other people. And that doesn't have to be necessarily spiritual. It can just be new beliefs, new beginnings that can also involve travel, by the way, but just new beginnings involving higher consciousness media projects or higher consciousness beliefs. Or now with the new beginnings in Virgo, because you've let go of these old beliefs, these old paradigms, these old sort of rigid perceptions, and now you're opening up to whole new beliefs and new perceptions. That just opens up all your possibilities, because this new moon is squaring Uranus, where we're really shifting our perceptions. You will be mega shifting your perceptions. This would be a huge spiritual awakening for Capricorn, and even if you already have had major spiritual awakenings, you're going to be experiencing some sort of upgrade in your spiritual consciousness, because and it's going to be about your mind and how you manifest, and that you're manifesting from you're blocking your manifestation from critical thinking, your mind, your rigid thoughts perhaps. So there's a lot going on for you in your mind, and understanding that your mind really is manifesting your struggles. And so now you're letting that go. You're letting go of being busy, you're letting go of the noise in your life, and you're seeking knowledge, spiritual higher knowledge, and to really seek a peaceful path in life. And so also these are new projects with travel, new media writing projects absolutely could be showing up with this Virgo new moon and the eclipse there. Um, what else could be happening? Suddenly quitting, with squaring Uranus, you could suddenly find out that perhaps, you're quitting alcohol, you're finding out something is wrong with your health there and you got to quit. You have a gluten intolerance or something like that. And then you um, follow a new higher consciousness health path. That could very well be the case. You could get a new pet. Suddenly you have a pet in this new moon Virgo in your sixth, squaring Uranus in your sixth. Your pet could pass, just so you know, and they pass. So there's a few options that could play out here for you, Capricorn, but these new beginnings do involve perhaps travel, and as well as mind opening, higher consciousness, awareness, awakenings that really set you free and open your mind, and really helps you see how you're self-critical and you're over holding yourself to such high standards is really, it's almost like you realize you're really pushing yourself too hard and putting yourself up against so many standards and some sort of high standard, and that you can relax more and you really do fall more on your dharmic path. The ninth house is our calling, our path, our spiritual purpose, and it fulfills us. It's our Jupiterian mission, as it were. So you're sort of going through a belief transformation that sets you free onto your true path, some sort of limiting belief about yourself, some sort of critical self perception that needs to open be released, that then opens you up for new beginnings, because you have a new self perception that isn't so limited, because you have a big mind opening, spiritual awakening, and you realize that you can really manifest through your own, instead of self-critical, manifest what you want by deliberately thinking what you want. It's the house of Hermetic wisdom, which I don't want to go into right now, but that's the kind of shift that's happening for Capricorn. All right. Have a wonderful new moon, Capricorn. Namaste. All right, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, this new moon and the eclipse that's coming up and September 21st at 29 degrees. This new moon is at 0 degrees in your eighth house, and the eclipse is at 29 degrees in your eighth house. And we have had the South Node in Virgo since January, transiting your eighth house. So you are going through some sort of big focus on either your debt and releasing and eradicating debt, and fine tuning your spending, or it's the opposite. You're letting go of being so penny pinchy and relaxing and flowing more and letting go of fears and spending money more with that North Node in your second house, and investing, maybe spending money in your work and putting money into some sort of passion project and not worrying about debt. It could go either way. It depends on your chart. Um, but one thing is for sure happening is that there are massive changes, sudden, surprising, shocking changes because Uranus is squaring your eighth house of this new moon. So there could be some information. Now, Uranus is in your house of creative projects, children, entrepreneurial ventures. So perhaps bad news about your child, or I hate to bear bad news, but squares are usually shocking and surprising and unexpected and disruptive. So something around your child is disruptive, new information, knowledge, or you find out they're pregnant. It's not a big deal. It's good news. It can be Uranus, I find, is good, neither good nor bad. It just means radical shift and change. If you have a lot of attachments and ego attachments to things, friends as well, perhaps you learn a secret about a friend and you release that friendship, and you have this South Node, we're releasing ego-based attachments to things. So if you have an ego-based friendship, you're letting that go. And so new moons, new beginnings. So you're letting go perhaps of trying to micromanage your finances, let's put it that way. Or you're deciding to streamline your finances and eradicate debt and become much more streamlined, and so that you can take a job more aligned with what you truly love that might be not necessarily secure finances. But these new beginnings, now that opens up this new beginning that eventually becomes very auspicious, because if these are new beginnings in your eighth house beginnings are usually joint resources and investments and finances, perhaps through selling property or real estate. But um, these new beginnings promise long-term stable finances. So this new moon will perhaps is taxes related. Maybe you get a tax rebate, but it's involving paperwork, detailed, practical approaches. Maybe you're really rebudgeting and putting yourself on a very strict and practical budget that then enables you to save money for something that you do want to invest money in, or travel or something like that. So this is a new moon where you get very serious and practical about your finances, about your debt, and then you bring and you take on new management, because Virgo is very much about management and fixing. So these are new beginnings. Perhaps you get a new loan, which you consolidate all your debts or all your loans together and you pay them all off. Or there's a new beginning with that eclipse in your eighth house that you do get a fine. Now, the eighth house can be financial windfalls, or you could suddenly get some sort of tax rebate or a financial windfall or an inheritance that enables you to pay off debts and liberates you financially with that square to Uranus, enabling you to take on a passion project of some sort. Or you get funding and new funding for because this is a mercurial new moon, new funding for a media project, entrepreneurial, it squares Uranus. You suddenly are able to explore some sort of creative project because you have financing for it, or you have an idea for it, and you go and you take, because it's a humanitarian cause, Virgo, you raise money for a project, a creative project with your tribe group, or through the internet, social media, with that Aquarius, Uranus over your fifth house in Gemini. You start a creative media project, you raise finances, you raise funding for it, or you get support volunteered to you. So, and this all connects to that Saturn in your third house. So it really leads to a media project for Aquarius. And you are here to raise the vibrations and galvanize humanity, bring us all together. So this could very well be stepping you, well, it most certainly is stepping you into your dharmic soul contracted mission path and why you came here as an Aquarius. So have a fabulous new moon. All right, namaste. All right, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising. This new moon is happening in your house of relationships, partnership agreements. What else? Business agreements or collaborative, like if you're a musician, often Pisces are. New moons in your seventh house is a new relationship, a new bandmate. So what are we looking at here for you guys? You have had the South Node in your seventh house since January. You're about to have an eclipse here in your seventh house at 29 degrees Virgo on the September 21st. So this house is very active for you. With the South Node there, you're letting go of ego attachments and you're really going with the flow with that North Node in your first house, really flowing with your inner guidance, with your dharmic path, with what fills your cup, with your true purpose. And you're letting go of relationships or contracts or connections or shall we say, agreements that aren't really allowing you to flow on your true, authentic, destined path. And so these eclipses that are happening here, that the new moon that's happening at 0 degrees, right on your descendant, right in your cusp there of your sixth and seventh house, a new relationship, new contract, new, better, more soul contracted and aligned partnerships that you have now created space for because you've let go of others that aren't really, shall we say, aligned with your new path here. So now these are new fated beginnings that are really destined for you, this new moon, and it has a square to Uranus. So with the square to Uranus, it's like Uranus is in where is Uranus transiting? Your fourth house. It could up and make you move. New relationships, new contracts, new clients, the seventh house is clients, any relationship that you have a contract with. Um, it can be a roommate because you share a roommate with someone, you share a room contract or a landlord contract. But anyway, you suddenly move and shift without Uranus there. So this new moon brings either a new relationship or a new beginning in a contracted, connected, collaborative venture with someone, which now enables you to move or makes you move because this is a new career opportunity that is going to really put you on the path that you've really been desiring. And this is a new 29-year cycle path with Saturn in your second house, some sort of new way of earning income that is going to stabilize you and feed you for a long time. So these sort of shakeups in this new moon puts you in some sort of new venture involving collaboratives, perhaps your joint, your relationship, your partner, your lover, or a bandmate, or a new friendship, contracted business partner that you go into some sort of media project with Uranus there, or you work on ventures, creative media ventures together because Uranus in Gemini is all about media and all about selling and all about new ideas. And by the way, this new moon absolutely brings shocking information and knowledge. It could terminate a friendship or a connection or a relationship if you're in the wrong one. If you're in the right one, new information or knowledge, it could be that you meet your new person or or your person goes through a radical shift and change in their life, hopefully positive and upward. So this new moon looks very positive for you, rising sign Pisces, unless a relationship is part of this ending and that you're releasing. And it comes with pain because don't forget Venus does square Chiron during this new moon, which I really didn't get into at all. But if it does involve pain, then it'll be an easy release. But whatever gets let go of in these Virgo South Node period, which lasts until I think January again of next year, is about, or actually I think more May, is really liberating you and setting you free from stressful relationships and stressful connections, connections that you have to sort of control or be perfect for or feel like you have to be perfect for. So you're really letting all that go and flowing more into your true authenticity here. All right, Pisces, have a wonderful new moon. Namaste.